we had a wild and crazy weekend in football, both college and the pros. College football playoffs. We're going to discuss that. Who had the better win? Was it Alabama or was it Miami? And what about the group of five? Their performances against Oregon and Ole Miss, respectively, leave a lot to be desired. So, the question is, should the group of five teams be allowed in the college football playoff? I'll discuss my thoughts on that. But first, we're going to start with the NFL. A lot of crazy finishes, a lot of controversial finishes, and how all that is going to shake up the playoff race. We're going to get into all that today, right here in the Total Sports Ozone. Big O with the big mouth coming at you on a Manic and Panic Monday, December 22nd, 2025. Only 3 days left to Christmas. Did you get your shopping done? I know I didn't. Oh, well, I'll try to get it done. But let's get into what we need to get into. NFL. Wow. Some big time finishes over the long NFL weekend. Of course, we had game Thursday. Then we had 2 games Saturday, and the rest of it Sunday. We got one more tonight. Chicago Bears. I didn't think they could pull that game out. Down 16 to 16-3 in the fourth quarter. I didn't think they could come back and win that game. But not only did they come back and win it the way they won it, fantastic. Up, a 54-yard bomb to DJ Moore for the walk-off touchdown in overtime to give the Bears a much-needed 22-16 overtime win over their nemesis, the Green Bay Packers, which puts them in the driver's seat for the NFC North Division title. Great finish. Great finish. I said on my Friday's podcast, the Chicago Bears needed that win to show not just the league, but the world that they've arrived. They are here. And they did just that. And they did it in spectacular fashion, coming back from when I thought the game was over. And they come back, they stay with it, the grit, the never stay die attitude. And Caleb Williams, man, he got some big brass cojones going for a deep ball like that to win the game. Beautiful. Beautiful game. Beautiful ending to a great game. So now the Bears in the driver's seat. But what about the Packers? I think they'll still make the playoffs, but they might limp into the playoffs. I think they might limp in. Right now, they're the 7th seed. Right now, they're the 7th seed in the NFC. I think they can limp in. They will get into the playoffs, but I think they'll limp in, and that might hurt them. Losing their top defensive player, Michael Parsons, and you can tell he was sorely missed in that game. But I still think the Packers, despite the loss, will get in. But they're definitely going to need some help if they're going to win the NFC North. And I don't think that help's coming. I honestly don't think that help is coming. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. We got 2 weeks left. And anything can happen. Like they say, anything can happen. But then you look at the Detroit Lions. Detroit, man. That's a tough pill. It's one thing to lose when you try a desperate comeback, because the Steelers had their way with the Lions for most of that game. I mean, they were up 29-12 or 29-10 or something like that. Everybody thought the game was over, but give the Lions credit. 2 quick touchdowns, 1 quick touchdown, a stop, another touchdown, another stop, and here they go. Driving. Getting into the red zone. Getting down to, what was it, first and goal? Down at the 2-3. They scored the ball. Catches the ball. It is fumbled. Jared Goff gets it and runs it in the end zone. But hold the phone. We got a flag. Offensive pass interference. Now, I saw the replay of that play. And to me, it was ticky-tack. I mean, the receiver and the receiver slightly pushed off on the defender. And I mean, it was slightly. I think the Steelers defender sold it a little bit because it didn't look like it hurt him that much. And I just thought that both those, to me, it looked like both those players were trying to get leverage on one another. And then it just looked like because of the move the offensive player made to get open, it looked like a push off. And the refs called it. That was one. And then, a few plays later, tight end around the end, wide open, gets a touchdown, but hold the phone again. Hold the phone. Flag. Offensive pass interference again. Now, this time, I had to agree with the ref. I don't agree with it being called at that juncture of the game. But I understand by the rules, you can't do what that receiver did. If I'm not mistaken, the receiver did what in basketball you would call a moving pick. And that's illegal in basketball. You can't set a moving screen in basketball. You got to plant your feet. But in football, you are not allowed to set a pick like that before the ball is delivered to the receiver. Now, if the tight end had already had that ball when the receiver did the block, what basically setting the pick, it would have been legal because he's blocking. But because he did it before the ball was delivered to the tight end, I believe that's what in basketball parlance would be called a moving screen, or in football, offensive pass interference. And it cost the Lions a badly needed victory. I mean, badly needed victory. Now, again, I understand the calls. The first one I didn't understand too well. I thought it was ticky-tack. I really thought it was ticky-tack to call that kind of play, call that kind of penalty in that situation with basically the game on the line. The second one, I understood it by the rules. I don't think it should have been called at the end of, I mean, if this would happen like midway through the third quarter, okay, fine. If this happened like around towards the 2-minute warning of the second quarter, like inside the 2-minute warning of the second quarter, like going to halftime, fine, kick a field goal, right? But this happened with the game on the line inside the final minute of the game, and the Lions got burnt by 2 referee offensive pass interference calls that cost them the game, and as in essence, put the Lions. That's loss put the Lions on the brink of elimination. The Lions have to win out. They have no more margin for error. They have to win out and get some help based on where they're at in the pecking order in the NFC. They're in the AFC at 8-7. They're right now in the AFC at 8-7. They would have to win out. They would have to win out and might need to get some help. They would probably need Green Bay to lose their last 2 games. And Detroit would have to win their last 2 games to get in. That's where Detroit is right now. And right now they have a roughly 8% chance of getting in. That loss hurt. What it did for the Steelers, combined with the Ravens losing last night at home to New England, Steelers 1 game away. They win the next game, they win the division. Simple. They win the next game, and I believe they're playing Pittsburgh. So now the Ravens are 2 games back. So Steelers win the next game. Any one of their last 2 games, they're in. Steelers will be in as the AFC North champion. That's what that would. That's what those 2 calls of how that affected the playoff picture. You believe that? Those 2, I believe one was very controversial. The other one was, well, you had to call that. I mean, if the refs saw it, they had to call it. But those 2 calls have affected both the AFC and NFC playoff picture wholeheartedly. It put the Lions on the brink of elimination, and it put the Steelers on the brink of winning the AFC North. See, that's the fun part. That is the fun part about December football in the National Football League. You got these teams all jockeying, trying to get in the playoffs, jockeying for playoff, trying to improve their playoff position, and games coming down to the wire. You know, these there's not too many blowout games. At least not against the teams that actually have something to play for, playing for playoff positioning or trying to win the division. Ain't no playoff, ain't no blowouts. Games going into overtime. You got teams making comeback wins, coming back from the brink. That's what December football is in the National Football League, when you got the playoffs on the line. And that's what makes this month in the National Football League the best month by far. It's the best month of the regular season because it's coming down to the end. Some teams are getting eliminated. Some teams on the brink. Some teams are controlling their own destiny, like the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers. I said on Friday on my Friday podcast, I said Carolina Panthers was one of those teams that needed to get the win because they have been scraping and scrounging and clawing for respectability over the past 2-3 seasons. But yesterday, they took a step forward into getting that respectability. They are now in the driver's seat for the NFC South. And remember, between Carolina and Tampa Bay, the only way either one of those 2 teams are getting into the playoffs is they got to win the division. And right now, the Panthers are 1 leg up. Round 1 went to the Panthers yesterday, 23-20. They'll be playing round 2 in 2 weeks in Tampa. And that could very well decide it. Don't know, but that could very well decide who goes to the playoffs and who goes home who will be going home for New Year's. But the Panthers got that win. They needed it for respectability. They're trying to be relevant again in the NFC. And that went a long way. That went a long way towards getting that respectability. We'll see how they carry on from that. New England wrapped up a playoff spot by beating the Ravens on the road, 28-24. Ravens handed them that game, though. I believe the Ravens handed the Patriots that game. You cannot turn the ball over when you're driving. Ball security should be at a premium this time of year. And that's not just that's for every team. Ball security. You know the other team is going to be swiping at that ball any chance they get. You know this. And every coach, I'm pretty sure all the coaches, especially offensive coaches, they preaching ball security. The defensive coaches preaching swipe at the ball. Any chance you get, swipe at that ball. Hit them hard enough where they draw the ball loose. Ball security. Got to take care of the ball, especially this time of year, especially in the cold weather cities. You got to take care of the ball. And the Ravens basically handed maybe their playoff hopes to New England. They just handed it to them on that Trey Flowers fumble with about a minute and some change left. They handed it to them. And it might have handed the Steelers the AFC North championship. We'll find out in the next week or so. But the Ravens are in trouble. The Ravens are in a whole deep doo-doo. And really, who could you blame? Who could you blame for their failure? Could you blame the poorest defense that doesn't get critical stops like it used to? You know, the Ravens defense used to get critical stops anytime they wanted to. Back in the days of Ray Lewis and all those guys and Suggs and all those guys, Ed Reed, they used to get critical stop. When they needed to get a stop, they got it to secure a victory, especially at home. Especially at home. They don't do that no more. You know, in New England with Drake May, and they let them drive right downfield on them with the game on the line. Hell, the Patriots was down 11 points in the fourth quarter. Didn't sweat it. The Ravens, if they don't make the playoffs, there may be some wholesale changes on that team, and I think they're going to need to be. For starters, I think the offensive line needs to be retooled. But we're getting to all that. We're getting to all what teams need to do what after the regular season. We'll get into all that. But right now, Ravens in trouble. They need a prayer. Right now, they're sitting at an 11% probability of making the playoffs. 11%. And like the NFC South, the only way either one of the Ravens or the Steelers will make it to the playoffs is they got to win the division. And the Ravens are now 2 games back. And they already have 1 loss against the Steelers. So basically what it amounts to is this. If the Steelers win any one of their last 2 games, they are the AFC North champions. Any one of them. And next week, the Steelers play in Cleveland. If I was a Ravens fan, I think I'd start praying right about now. I think I'd start praying. I mean, Hail Marys, whatever you got to do. It is Christmas. Christmas week. It is Christmas week. This is the time of miracles. Miracles happen during Christmas. And if you're a Ravens fan, you might want to pray for one. That might be one of your Christmas list. Please, please let the Browns beat the Steelers next Sunday so we can have a chance. But the thing is, you had a chance and you blew it. You gave the game away. If you're the Ravens, you gave that game away. You literally gave that game away. I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to hear about this and that. You gave the game away. The Ravens gave that game away. Gave it away. Simple as that. And this time, like I said, ball security. You have to hang on to the ball. You have to hang on to the damn ball. If you don't, this is what happens. What can you say? Other games that impacted playoff, the Jaguars, impressive. I definitely went against one of my picks. I picked Denver to win at home because I didn't think Jacksonville could go in the nosebleed of Denver with the high altitude and thin air and walk out of the win. Not only did they win, they dominated. They dominated, especially in the second half. They dominated the Denver Broncos, and Denver broke the Broncos' winning streak. You got if you're not paying attention, y'all better look at the Jaguars. They're sitting at 11-4. Y'all better pay attention to them. They're probably the quietest 11-4 team I've ever seen. There's not a lot of hoopla surrounding the Jaguars, especially after Travis Hunter got hurt, went out for the season. There wasn't a lot of hoopla. There hasn't been a lot of media build-up, at least not on a national scale, about the Jaguars. But here they are. They're sitting 11-4, first place, AFC South. Think they're battling with the Houston Texans. And quiet. They're doing it so quiet. If you don't look at them, you wouldn't notice. But here they are. Trevor Lawrence, I said he's turned into a game manager. He takes his shots when they appear. When they're available, when they're there, he takes his shots. But he doesn't make too many mistakes with the ball. And his weapons, Travis Etienne and the wide receiver, got his name, they're becoming potent weapons in that offensive attack. And we're talking about the Denver Broncos team that lead the league in sacks. One of the better defensive fronts in all the NFL. And they were neutralized for the most part at home by the Jaguars offensive line. You better start looking at them. If you ain't looked at the Jacksonville Jaguars lately, you might want to look them up. Like I said, the quietest 11-4 team I've ever seen. No hoopla, no, you don't hear about them in the pundits and on the NFL Talk Network or ESPN. You don't hear too much talk about the Jaguars. No. I mean, hell, these networks and outlets, NFL Network, they talk more about the damn Dallas Cowboys than they do about the Jaguars. The Cowboys are eliminated. They're out. Jaguars sitting pretty. 11 wins, first place, AFC South. But nobody's heard much about them. But I think that suits them just fine. They just keep on doing what they do. Winning. They keep winning. Trevor Lawrence has turned into a game manager. He doesn't make mistakes. He takes what the defense gives him. But he's also learned the ability to change plays. He's learning to see the hot read based on the defense's coverage scheme. He has learned that. And that's coaching. That goes to coaching. He has learned all that, and he's making the right reads, and he's taking care of business. Plus, that defense, when the defense gets a lead of at least a score or two, they're pinning their ears back. They had Bo Nix flustered almost the whole game. They had him flustered. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know which way was up. It looked like he didn't know which way. And plus the Broncos receivers didn't help. They didn't help too much, especially Courtland Sutton. They did not help too much. But that was a big time road win for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A huge road win. Puts them right in the driver's seat to win the AFC South. Now, right now, in the AFC, only two teams have clinched playoff spots. Right now, only two teams have clinched playoff spots: Denver Broncos and New England Patriots. Now, the Colts play tonight. Indianapolis Colts. They play tonight. If they play against the San Francisco 49ers. If they lose at home, old man Rivers, if the 49ers beat the Colts tonight in Indianapolis, three teams are getting in. The Chargers, the Bills, and the Texans. They're all getting in. They're all guaranteed playoff spots if the Colts lose tonight. Now, if the Colts win, they're still in the hunt for at least the 7th seed. I think they'll be in the hunt for at least the 7th seed, possibly higher. It all depends on how some other games shake out next week. But if the Colts lose tonight, 3 teams get in. The Chargers, the Bills, and the Texans. They'll all be in. They're all guaranteed playoff spots with a loss by the Colts tonight. So I'm pretty sure the fans of all 3 of them teams are rooting hard for the 49ers, whether they like them or not. The 49ers, now in the NFC, the Seahawks are in. The Bears are almost in. I think the only one that has clinched so far, five teams have clinched in the NFC. Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, Rams, and 49ers. So you got 3 teams in the NFC West that have clinched playoff spots because of the Detroit Lions losing. Yeah, when the Lions lost, 3 teams clinched playoff spots. The Bears, the Rams, and the 49ers. The Eagles clinched because they won the NFC East. First repeat team to win the NFC East since 2001, I think. So, and the Seahawks clinched. They clinched when they won Thursday against the Rams. They clinched the playoff spot. So, you got 5 teams already clinching playoff spots in the NFC. You got the Panthers leading the NFC South. And then you have Green Bay Packers hanging on to that 7th seed. With the Detroit Lions outside looking in. Now, again, between the Buccaneers and Panthers, the only way either one of those teams is getting in is that they got to win the division. The other one will be out. And the Lions, they're on, like I said, they've got that one foot on the banana peel, another foot in the gray. They're going to need a whole lot of help. They're gonna have to win, and they're gonna have to win out. They're gonna have to win out, and the Packers will have to lose out. Right now, the Lions are 8-7. Packers are 9-5-1, or 9-6-1. I believe the only way for the Lions to get in is they have to lose. The Packers will have to win out. The Lions will have to win out. The Packers will have to lose out. And it's amazing because last year we were talking about Detroit Lions that had the best record in all NFL. But this year they've taken a half a step back, I believe. Now I wouldn't even say half. I say a full step back. The defense. I know they've lost a lot of players that were hurt, but the defense needs a little bit of retooling, especially in the secondary. I believe that in the secondary is what let the Detroit Lions down this year, as far as plus their run stopping ability is not what it was. They used to be able to stop. Pittsburgh ran all over them yesterday. They scored their last 2 touchdowns on big runs, so they ran all over them. And the Lions, their run defense isn't what it was. So Lions going to have to take care of that in the offseason. But that's where we at right now. So a lot hinges on tonight's game with the Colts and the 49ers. Like I said, Colts win, they stay alive. Colts lose, 3 teams make it to the AFC playoffs. The Chargers, Bills, and Texans. They will all get playoff spots with a loss by the Colts tonight. So, tune in. Week 16 has gotten really interesting. Yes, it did. Big O with the big mouth. Total Sports Ozone. Let's switch to college football. We had our 4 college football playoff games. One Friday, 3 Saturday. Wow. That's all I can say was wow. Did anybody see Alabama coming back from down 17-0 in the second quarter and coming back and scoring? Listen to this. They scored 34 4 unanswered points. Did anybody see that coming? I did. I thought Oklahoma was going to run Alabama right out of Norman, right out of the state, send them back to Tuscaloosa crying the blues. Somehow, some way, Hal Simpson and Coach DeBoer, they did something. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was Killer DeBoer just gathering his team around saying, calm down. Calm down. Y'all can play better than this. All you need to do is your job. And we will win this game. I don't know what inspired, but Alabama went on one hellacious run to win this game. In Norman, 34-24. Now, you could say what swung this game in, what moment, what play swung this game or swung the momentum of this game in Alabama's favor. Excuse me. I would like to think is, I know you guys seen it, that one play, Oklahoma, where Latier rolled out to the left, had the receiver wide open. It was a running back, leaked out of the backfield. He's wide open. I mean, he's so wide open, it might have took another defender about a half a day to catch up to him. He was wide open. Threw him I thought he threw him a perfect strike. Considering he rolling out to the left and has to throw that ball on the run. He threw a dart right to him, and the guy dropped it. He catches that ball. Oklahoma's up 24-0 because they wasn't nobody going to catch him. He catches that ball. He had nobody in front of him but the end zone. If he catches that ball, he dropped it. And I thought, oh boy. When I saw that play, I was thinking, I hope this don't come back and bite him in the ass. Sure enough, it did. Alabama went down, got the ball back, went down and scored. Then they went and kicked the field goal, and then they got that pick six. Latier threw it right to him on the left side, and that Alabama defender would probably be the easiest pick six he ever have in his life because he had nobody in front of him. Once he picked it off, all he had to do was just run. Don't trip, and don't drop the ball. But that's exactly what he did. And that tied the game at 17, but the game was tied, but everybody should have known. Everybody knew. Everybody who watched the game knew momentum was all on Alabama's side. And they took advantage of that in the third and fourth quarter and sealed that game away. It was like Oklahoma stopped playing. They were the ones to start making mistakes. At first quarter and a half, it was Alabama making all the mistakes. It was Alabama that couldn't stop them on defense. It was Alabama who couldn't move the ball, couldn't run, couldn't move the ball. And then it seemed like in the second half, all that's reversed. Oklahoma was the one that couldn't move the ball. Oklahoma was the one that getting stopped on third down. Oklahoma was the one that could not stop Alabama. Couldn't stop them. Now, neither team ran, like I said, neither team runs the ball very well. But when you turn the ball over and you give the other team short fields, scoring opportunities because of turnovers, that's going to hurt you. It don't matter who you playing and where you're playing. That's what happened. That is what happened in that game. Turnovers swung the momentum of that game. Turnovers and missed plays. And I said, if y'all remember my podcast on Friday, I said the quarterback who makes the least amount of mistakes is the quarterback whose team is going to win this game. And Latier He had a good game, but he threw that one pick six. That one pick six pretty much swung all the momentum, and I mean all of it, to Alabama because it tied the game. And that's one thing you want to do in the playoffs. When you got a team down, especially a big time program like Alabama, you got them down. You better knock them out. You better keep your foot on their neck, and if you can, twist and twist again. Otherwise, you let a team like Alabama or any team in the college football come up off the mat, they're gonna get you. Don't be surprised if they get you. And that's what happened with Oklahoma. They let Alabama back in the game by missed opportunities on offense and that pick six. That pick six swung the momentum. It tied the game. It tied the game. It breathed all kind of life back into Alabama, and they took advantage of it. They took full advantage of it. So now Alabama moves on to play the number one seed in the Indiana Hoosiers in the Rose Bowl. And it should quiet all this Caleb DeBeer talk about him leaving. And they might let him go if they'd have lost, and he might go to Michigan and all that. All that can shut up for at least a week, 2 weeks. All that talk can die down for a little bit. He beat Oklahoma. He avenged that loss at home. Beat them in the playoffs on the road. Remember, this is a team a lot of people said Alabama shouldn't be in the playoff. Well, they show they belong. Well, they showed that when they're playing right, they are a formidable team to deal with. I still think they're going to have issues because they can't run the ball. I still think that's going to be their biggest bugaboo. They can't run the ball. They only ran the ball for 28 yards. Yeah, they only ran the ball for 28 yards. They ain't going to get it. They're not going to get it. And now Alabama has to play Indiana, one of the stingiest teams running on ball running in the entire country. You're gonna say, "Oh, Indiana play them." Well, we'll see. We'll see. But that's why I'm, if you're a Bama fan, of course you're happy that you won the game and moving on. But you have to be concerned about the running game or lack thereof. They have got to run the ball, and this team doesn't do it. You cannot be one-dimensional in the college football playoff. You can't do that and expect to win. You cannot do that. I don't know what Alabama going to do to get their running game corrected, but they better do it, and they better do it fast. But the running game wasn't needed in this one. Like I said, neither team can run the ball very well, and it was like I said, the quarterback to make the least amount of mistakes. The Terrier threw that pick six, which was not his only mistake. It was his biggest mistake because, again, he had some missed opportunities. Oklahoma, I'm pretty sure they feel they left at least 20 points out there on the field. They left 20 points out there on the field with missed opportunities. But nothing they can do about that now but to wait till next year. Alabama moves on. 34-24. Surprising win. To me, it's a surprising victory. I didn't think Alabama could go into Norman and beat them like that, especially coming back from 17 points down to win by double digits. I didn't think they could do it. But hats off to Alabama, Coach DeBeer, Crimson Tide, moving on to the Rose Bowl. The Big Mouth, Total Sports Ozone. Now, the real shock was the Miami Hurricanes to me. Going into Kyle Field, College Station, 110,000, 12th man. They held the Aggies 3 points. That's it. A harmless 3 points in the third quarter. No, in the fourth quarter. kept them off the scoreboard as far as touchdowns. You know how hard it is to do that, especially in that stadium. We're talking about one of the harshest environments in college football. Kyle Field with the 12th man, that place when that place gets loud over 100, 105, 110,000 people. Some people say that the press box be shaking. People say that damn stadium shakes when it gets loud. Miami went out there and quieted them, kept them quiet for most of it. Got a late touchdown after it was tied 3-3. Got a late touchdown, and then my heart goes out to Reed, the quarterback from Texas A&M. He drove him back downfield. He didn't blink. He drove him right back downfield, had them in a position to tie that game, and he just overthrew his receiver and threw an interception. Heartbreak. Heartbreaking way to lose if you're a Texas A&M fan. I know. I feel you. I feel it for you. Heartbreaking way to lose. But Miami, gutty win. Gutsy win over A&M, 10-3. Gutsy win. No, they could not stop Fletcher. Fletcher ran all over him. 172 yards on 17 carries. Beck, he was pedestrian. 14-20 for $103, but he did throw that touchdown on a great play to give them that 7-point lead late. It was a good defensive game. Neither team didn't look like they had much of an edge. Yes, you can blame. There were I think 3 or 4 missed field goals because of the wind. So special teams had problems that game because it was very windy. But I said on my preview, for this game, I said it was going to come down to quarterback play. I said it was going to come down to backfield play. And Miami's backfield, especially with the running back, Fletcher, he was the key. He was the key because especially in the fourth quarter when Miami basically took the advantage, or let's say took control of the line of scrimmage. In the fourth quarter, that's what Miami did. They wore down the A&M defensive front by running that ball. And they controlled the clock, run the ball, move the chains, and it's like A&M's defensive front finally wore down. And they were able to get that touchdown that put them up 7 late in the game. It was a great defensive struggle for 3.5 quarters. It was a great defensive struggle, and you like that. But A&M should have won this game because Reed with the 2 interceptions. I think he tried to do too much because they didn't get no running game. They had no running game. Miami's run defense was awesome. Their highest rusher was the quarterback, Reed, with 27 yards on 15 total. So they couldn't run the ball. So they couldn't they didn't control the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. And in the trenches, especially in the playoffs, you better be strong. You better be strong in the trenches. And it looked like Miami's front on both sides, offense and defense, was just a little bit stronger than A&M's. Just a little bit stronger, especially in the end, in the clutch time, when the game on the line. And that's how that game played out. It was a defensive struggle. Shocked me because I thought both these teams were going to put up points, light up the scoreboard. Only 10-3. But Miami come away with a huge, I think this is a program defining road win in their first college football playoff game. So They will be heading to Arlington, Texas to take on the number 2 seed Ohio State. We're going to get into the matchups on all that and my picks as we go along this week. But big time win for the Hurricanes as the 10th seed. Big time win. And a heartbreaking loss to A&M. Heartbreaking. Big O with the big mouth. Total Sports Zone. Now, here we go with the group of 5. The 2 group of 5 teams that played. James Madison and Tulane. Both those games pretty much went as we all probably expected to. They were blowouts. Neither one of those games were close, especially the Ole Miss Tulane game. The Ole Miss Tulane game. I wonder how many of y'all watched it. I wonder how many of y'all watched that game. I blinked at it. I blinked at it, which is to say, they had the NFL game on same time they had the Ole Miss Tulane. I blinked at just to see what the score was. But once it got to like 21, there wasn't no sense in me watching any more of this. I was like, nah, this ain't worth my time. I'm gonna watch the NFL game. It's a damn shame the NFL is still in some of the college football playoffs luster, playing 2 games. I meant to talk about it, playing 2 games on NFL, playing 2 games, one in mid-afternoon, one in the evening, still in the luster from the college football playoff. But the thing is, the NFL was smart. They put on 2 games. They put those 2 games on, one in the mid-afternoon and one in the evening, against the games that pretty much nobody was gonna watch. Of the 4 college football playoff games, not too many people was gonna watch Oregon and James Madison. Not too many people was gonna watch Ole Miss and Tulane. Nobody was gonna watch those because come on, it's like David and Goliath. Yeah, that might work in the Bible, but on the college football landscape, it ain't gonna work too well. Not especially in the playoffs. It's not working. Not gonna work. I see what the committee's trying to do, but it ain't gonna work. I see the committee is trying to give the little guy a shot. Come on, man. Come on. Did you really think either one of those 2 teams had a ghost chance in hell of winning in their respective venues? Oxford, Mississippi, Eugene, Oregon. Did you really think? I mean, we all know there's levels to this. I mean, you're talking about Oregon, Ole Miss. You're talking about storied programs in college football. All right? And these programs, they got the money, they got the resources. They recruit 4-star and 5-star players. They got the money to go in the NIL and to go in the transfer portal and get the cream of the crop if they want, because they got the money, the resources to be able to do that. And then you got James Madison and you got Tulane, the 2 group of 5 schools. They don't have that kind of money and resources to recruit 5-star players. Not even, or barely 4-star players. Yet, the committee, in its infinite wisdom, decided, they little guys should get a chance in the college football playoff. And look what happened. The college football playoff ain't just a tournament to determine who it is. It's about making money. It's about money, too. And you're not gonna make money if nobody's watching. And who really watched James Madison against Oregon and Tulane against Ole Miss? Who on the national scale? I'm pretty sure those team fans watch those games, but on a national scale, Joe Casual to the left, Jane Casual on the right. Are they really going to watch those 2 games? Really? James Madison against Oregon. Tulane against Ole Miss. Tulane had already Tulane had already gotten stomped by Ole Miss in the regular season. But yeah, here they are playing them again. The only, in my eyes, about the Ole Miss Tulane game, the only intrigue I thought about it, I saw on it, was how this team, the Ole Miss team, would play despite all that drama with the Lane Kiffin thing. I wanted to see how they react. Look like they fine to me. Yeah. Look like they just fine. They scored pretty much at will against James Madison, against Tulane. I think they could have dropped 60 on them if they felt like it. So, yeah, Ole Miss is fine. With their interim, or I guess their new head coach, what's his name, Golden? I think they'll be just fine, at least this year for the playoffs. They're fine. They're fine. But the question still is out there. What should the committee do about the group of five in the future? Because they don't belong. But my answer is twofold on this. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that think the group of five schools, the Sun Belt, the MAC, all that, they don't belong in the college football playoff because they got, these are the big boys. These are the best of the best that go to these college, or supposedly the best of the best, going to these college football playoffs, as they are supposed to be. And the little group of five schools, they're just not going to measure up. They're not. Let's face it, none of those schools going to the group of five, they're not going to win no national title. At least not on this scale. They're not ready for that. They're not built to beat those schools. They're just not. But the people that saying, oh, the group of five schools, they shouldn't be in the college football playoff. If you want to go that route, fine. But on the flip, none of these big boy schools in the Power Four, in the ACC, the Big 12, SEC, and the Big 10 should be scheduling the group of five teams on your regular season schedule. All right? If it's going to be good for the goose, it should be good for the gander. If you don't want those group of five schools anywhere near the college football playoff, don't schedule them in the regular season on your schedule, just so you can have a tune-up. You want to prove you the best? Schedule big boys. Schedule big boys out of conference. Don't schedule the chumps. Don't schedule group of five schools. Don't let Alabama play UConn. Don't let Ohio State play Youngstown State. Don't let Georgia play, Georgia State. You want to be, you the big boys, right? Then you play the big boys. Don't play David. You Goliath, play Goliath. You King Kong, fight against Godzilla. That's what you do. You want to leave the little guys out of the college football playoff? Fine. But play the big boys on your regular season schedule. No more of these chumps. No more of these warm-ups. Nope. You can't have it both ways. If you're gonna put these chumps on your schedule, all these Power Four schools, then they should be allowed to make it to the college football playoff if they're eligible. Period. Can't have it both ways. Can't have it both ways. Can't have it both ways. You gonna leave the little engines that could out of the college football playoff? Cool. Don't schedule them. None of them. None of these Power Four schools. None of them. Even my school, Ohio State. None of them should be scheduling any of these little engines that could on their college football schedules from here on. From here on. And if you want to be, and to make it fair, if you want to extend it to 16 teams, fine. There shouldn't be no committee. Again, I'm going to quickly quickly go over how I think the college football playoff should be set up in the future. Again, this is how I see it. Every team should play 12 games. 3 non-conference from the Power 4. You play 3 non-conference games from other Power 4 team schools. And the rest of your games are in your conference. You're playing 12 games with 1 bye week. Right? Now, we got the AP poll, we got the coach poll. They rank the teams, right? Well, we use that to set up a college football playoff bracket. But the first AP and coaches poll should not be released until every team has played at least 3 conference games. Every team in the Power 4 has played at least 3 conference games. 3. That'll put it right around mid-season. Week 6, week 7. That's when the AP and coaches polls should be first released the first time of that season. And then you play the seasons out. Play the seasons out. Right? Now, at the end of the season, even at the end of the conference championship games, you're going to have the final AP and final AP, final coaches poll up into leading up to the bowl season. Now, we all know they rank these teams based on how many points they've accumulated, based on what first, second, third, fourth votes. Right? More votes you get, higher you rank. Same thing with the coaches poll. So, at the end of the season, you take both polls, you smash them together, you divide by 2, and that gives you a poll average. If your poll averages land you in the top 16, we're going to expand it to 16, fine. But if your poll average lands you in the top 16, you're in the playoff. You're in the playoff. First 4 get double buys. First 5 through 8 gets 1 bye. Then you bracket it off from there. First 4, top 4 teams in the poll average get double buys. The 5 through 8 rankings get a 1 week bye. Then you go from there. Again, you use the bowl games as semifinals and finals, or quarterfinals and semifinals. Simple. That's how it should be done. You can't tell me they ain't gonna make money. More teams in, more money, and there'll be very little chance that the little engines that could from the group of 5 will be in the playoff. Because unless they beat some miraculous teams, they're not going to be ranked as high in the top 16. Usually, little engines that could get ranked anywhere from 20 to 25. So, that's simple. It's simple. It'll leave everything. Any other procedure will leave some kind of doubt, criticism, but that's a simple way of doing it. It can't be much simpler. But what do you think? What should be done to the college football playoff for if you think the group of 5 schools should not be in it? Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll certainly appreciate it. I try to do this every day for you guys. So like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you agree, you agree. If you don't, let me know why. I certainly appreciate it. But that's it for me today. We're going to get into tonight. Big game, Monday Night Football. Colts might be on the verge of elimination if they lose this game tonight. So this is a big game for both teams. Both teams, this is a big game. We'll recap it tomorrow. And then we'll look over all the playoff scenarios and Who get in, who got in, who's going to get in. We're going to go over all that again. Plus, Top 5 Tuesday. I give you my top 5 teams in the NFL after week 16. We're going to get into all that tomorrow, right here in the Total Sports Ozone. See ya.